If you've ever started the Daily 5 and quickly gave up on it, but know that it's a system that truly works, this video is for you today. We're going to troubleshoot some common problems that occur with Daily 5 for a few teachers, and don't feel frustrated because we've all been there before. I'm going to break down what those challenges are and how to fix them so that you can run Daily 5 during your literacy block and get to all of your reading groups without interruptions and with ease. I'm Molly, and I'm a 5th grade teacher who helps teachers just like you implement the Daily 5 in your elementary classroom so that you can get to all your reading groups. And that's the best part of Daily 5, honestly, is getting to pull those small groups over to your teacher table. And you're not going to get to that point if you're feeling frustrated. And I know I've been there. There are parts of Daily 5 that if you don't do them correctly or you give up on one part of it, it's not going to work out. And I've even talked with my friend Amber here on this channel before because she has taught many grades and we made a YouTube video together. She thought Daily 5 was literally the worst, and she came back to the classroom and was going to be teaching kindergarten for the first time, and I had taught kindergarten and used Daily 5, and you'll have to check out that interview, especially if you're a kindergarten teacher, because she completely changed her mind after I gave her a few quick, easy steps to kind of tweak about Daily 5 and loves it and uses it to this day. And she's even said that she uses the structure of Daily 5 for other parts of her day, which is amazing. Okay, the first thing that usually comes up for teachers when they're building stamina at the beginning of the school year or whenever they're implementing Daily 5 is that they're not doing it with fidelity. And I know that word gives us all the icks as teachers because we've heard administrators and people talk about that word at meetings that we go to, but it's true with Daily 5. If you're not meeting the 15-minute mark of reading stamina with Read to Self, which is how Daily 5 tells you to get started, then likely you're not going to be able to build stamina at any of the other stations, and your students aren't going to take it very seriously, and they're going to say, well, I talked during that one and she didn't stop me, so I guess that's all right. So the truth is, the 15-minute of reading stamina for Read to Self means that nobody's talking. This is whole group. When you're building stamina, it's a whole group activity. Once everybody builds to the 15-minute mark, that's when we do Daily 5 independently and we're rotating stations. So I think that's one of the biggest questions I've gotten during back to school time on social media this year. People feel stuck on that. So you have to stop what you're doing if somebody starts talking during that time and say, oh gosh darn it, we got to stop. I heard some talking, no big deal. We got to, look at your watch, 4.5 minutes. That's amazing. I bet we can make it to 6 the next time. And so then you shoot for that next goal. If they have kind of lost it and they've got the wiggles or they're chatting, then you just put a pin in it for the day and you start again tomorrow. The building stamina part is so important because they're never going to work independently if you don't model it and have the most high expectations from the get-go. So that is one of the biggest issues I see, and I hope that helps you. Just know that when you're putting all the time up front, it pays you dividends in the end. By October, you have a completely different literacy block and you're so happy that you put all that work in. Okay, the next challenge I see with Daily 5 is not teaching transitions. So maybe you're building the stamina well for every station, but you haven't modeled explicitly what a transition should look like. So even when we're building stamina, by the time we get done with Read to Self, let's say we move on to work on writing, there's a transition in between those stations. And there needs to be a routine for that too, just like any transition in your classroom. And so you have to model that. And that should also mean that we're not having chatting during that time because that slows us down. So I like to have a song that plays so my students know, okay, it's time to move to the next station. I put the choices up on the smartboard, Clear Touch, whatever device you use to project things in your classroom. They go find their name when they're learning what station they go to next, and they transition quickly and quietly. If we have issues with that, then we stop and we talk about it and we do it over. So we have to do it right before we can move on to the next thing. So remember that teaching those transitions is pivotal to getting the Daily 5 streamlined, efficient, and the way that you want it to look. So we have to model what we expect for our students in every part of Daily 5. Okay, the next challenge is not having a plan for rotations. So you've heard me say this before if you've seen any of my other videos. I used to follow the Daily 5 method completely to the T, where you had the clipboard chart in front of you and you call the kids back and forth to the carpet. And I did a little experiment with it, and it wastes about 5 to 10 minutes of instructional time per day. So that's when I decided, okay, there's got to be a better way. I project my choices up on the smart board. You can see me doing that in this video and what that looks like. And so those choices can be edited by you. This chart is inside of my TPT store, and I'll leave a link below if you'd like to use it. You just change out the stations and the names of the kids, and it's the most efficient system I've ever had in my classroom. I started using it for Math Daily 3 as well, and the students know what to do. And I've taught kindergarten and first grade, and you just have to train them on how to use it. And once they know that RS is read to self, then they know what to do. So even in kindergarten, I'm telling you, they can do it. It just takes a little bit longer, but you'll be so glad that you had the system, because you won't hear, "What's my choice? I don't know where I'm going," while you're trying to pull a small group. The whole point is that you're able to compose yourself, get ready for the next group while the kids are moving independently. And the smartboard system works so well. I've seen other teachers before where they rotate kids in groups, but the true point of Daily 5 is that everybody's working independently and we're not moving station to station. Sometimes in Daily 5, I might call them a station because there's no other name for it, but it doesn't mean 5 kids are grouped together and they all move to the next one together. You might have the same station on the next go with a friend of yours, but that's usually a coincidence, or maybe you don't mind if friends are together, but the whole point is that they are working independently. Okay, so kids physically moving spots. This throws a lot of teachers off, and then they get frustrated with Daily 5. So every time they switch stations, they can move to a different spot in the classroom if that's what you want. Daily 5 is completely customizable. So if you have an assigned spot for them and you don't want them to move, that's up to you. I don't mind them moving, but what you'll find is they usually pick similar spots. But if you have different things in your classroom for different stations, for example, during read to self and listen to reading, I have bean bags. And so I let them sit in a bean bag while they're reading a book, if that's their station, or listen to reading. They're listening to a book on their iPad. So that could be a motivation, that you're practicing how to move quietly and you're not having conversations. And then if you can't handle that, then you're not getting the cozy spot. I also have a comfy big chair, and the teacher helper of the week gets to sit in that for every single station. It's like the honor of the week that you get the amazing comfy chair. So practicing how kids are moving is another thing that you need to do, because if you're finding that you don't like that somebody's getting up and moving during a station, or somebody is picking a bad spot, then go with the expectation of pick one spot and stick with it. And if I see somebody up and moving a bunch, then I have a conversation with them. And even if you're working with a small group, your eyes are tracking the whole time, you'll see somebody doing this. So this part of Daily 5 has to be for your comfort level, for what you want kids to do and what you don't want kids to do. And just remember that you need to practice it regardless of what you end up deciding for your expectation. Okay, the next challenge, this is probably the biggest one that I see, is that teachers will overcomplicate what is going on in the centers. I do have a Daily 5 video for every single station or center, read to self all the way to book club, on this YouTube channel. So if you want to go back and look at those, so you can see explicitly what happens in every single station. But your curriculum for your literacy block likely has things planned out for you that you're just implementing into Daily 5. So if I have a whole group lesson that I need to teach every day, I'm going to teach that before Daily 5. From there, I know I need to pull small groups, and that's part of my curriculum. I'm going to pull them, and I'm going to use that curriculum. Daily 5 is not a curriculum. It's just a system and a structure for your literacy block. I know my particular curriculum has word work. They call it word study, same thing. And I'm going to be doing that every single day with my students in a mini lesson, and then they're going to have activities that they need to finish during their word work station, and that's their independent practice time. So many teachers overcomplicate this, and I know when you're a new teacher, it's really easy to, because you're completely overwhelmed, but you shouldn't be creating new stuff every single week for these stations. It should perfectly align with your curriculum. You just might have to spend some time looking at your schedule and figuring out the lessons for the week ahead, so you know that what you're teaching is not only going to cover what you need to teach, but it also fits inside of Daily 5. And I promise once you get a system for it, you'll be so happy that you set it up that way. And then if you stay in the same grade the next year you have that system built and it's not so much of your free time on your plan time trying to figure out what it is that you need to teach. Work in 1 week chunks at a time so that it's not overwhelming. That's the best advice I could give you. Okay, this next challenge is work on writing and having kids off task. This was a huge one for me, so I totally relate to it if you think work on writing is a major ick and you don't like it. Remember, work on writing is not your writing instruction time. Work on writing during Daily 5 is typically viewed as a creative writing time. With your whole literacy block, you will have your whole group lesson that's tethered to reading, and you'll have a whole group lesson that's likely tethered to writing. That's going to be usually after Daily 5. I don't know how your schedule lines out, but that's how I like to do it. Whole group reading, Daily 5, whole group writing after that. Because during Daily 5, work on writing is a creative writing time. And before I had systems in place for this, it was a bit chaotic and I felt like kids used it as a goof off time. There's a handful of kids that actually like to write or knew how to write, especially when I was in the primary grades. So what I did was I figured out, okay, I need to have specific writing prompts that change every day for the students so that I wasn't expecting them to come up with something on their own when we all know that there's kids that don't enjoy writing and there are kids that do like it. So why not give them some options? And what I found was engagement went through the roof. I probably have like 99 to 100% rate because they knew that I was going to be checking their work on writing journal at the end of the week. They liked the writing prompts. Some of the kids that felt really creative would take a writing prompt and make it their own. And if I would forget one day to put the writing prompts up during Daily 5, I would always get a gentle reminder from a student, hey, where are the writing prompts? I have those all made for every elementary grade K through 5, and you're welcome to grab those inside of my TPT store. I'll add some links below. I have a YouTube video on work on writing, and I talk about the writing prompts because, again, work on writing was super chaotic until I had those systems in place, and now I don't know what I would do without them. They were completely life-changing. I hope this video helped you realize that you're not alone in troubleshooting your Daily 5 challenges. We've all been there, and I hope that you will overcome some of them with the tips that I gave you. And leave me any challenge that you're having in the comments below, and I could try to make you another video on how to overcome that one and troubleshoot it, because I do truly believe that you'll love Daily 5 once you have the systems in place that make it run so smoothly. I have lots of solutions for you, and the best one to get started with Daily 5 is the Daily 5 Starter Kit. If you're wanting the chart that I talked about earlier that you can project up on the smart board and all of the expectations that go into Daily 5, I have all of those charts made for you so you don't have to do the work. So grab that in the description box below, and I hope you're having a great start to your school year. And just know that no matter what time of year that you're watching this video, Daily 5 you can start any day. It doesn't have to be the beginning of the school year. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.